Now that you've turned 36, any more responsibilities? Your daughter?
I think after 30, everything is same.
Nothing new then.
Nothing new. Actually, I forgot.
You forgot.
I forgot.
Daughter had to remind you.
No, yeah, because there was a
Uh-huh.
cake, sudden surprise, and she wanted to cut. So that's why she was eating already. So then she said happy birthday.
How old is your daughter, sir?
4
4. That's great. She was born here or in Germany?
in Germany.
In Germany. So she adapted well to Hyderabad.
I hope so, yeah.
Did you talk to her about what she wants to become in the future?
She wants to become police officer as of now.
Law enforcement already.
I mean, or sometimes I think day before yesterday she wanted to become traffic police officer because traffic police because she saw 2 frogs were fighting, so she made them separated, and then she told us that she taught them traffic signals.
Traffic signals to frogs.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so let's talk about your. So right after you graduated bachelor's degree, what was your first job? Do you remember? Your first job.
I think bachelor's degree, within bachelor's or before I did jobs. But after bachelor's degree, I didn't do job. I joined MSc Animal Biotechnology here at Hyderabad Central University, and then left to PhD to Germany.
That's great. But what was your actual first job? Not after bachelor's degree. It's your first job that you remember.
I did so many jobs. So I think after my +2 or intermediate week, where I took a break for 1 year and some family and financial situation. So at the time, somebody came to my uncle and said, like, I have a lot of medical representative jobs open in my company, and then being medical representative was my dream. I even wanted to buy a Splendor bike, and so I went behind him. And then after 3 months, he said he won't offer me a job. He wouldn't be able to offer me a job because I don't have a bachelor's degree. So then slowly I started some sales jobs, selling hepatitis B vaccinations door to door, scaring people about hepatitis B.
So you would go door to door and sell them the HBV vaccine.
So we tell them about what hepatitis B is, and then once they get convinced, and we'll sell them something called card. On the card, we
The
take
information card.
We'll take 10 rupees, and then we'll tell that end of the week there will be hepatitis B vaccination camp. So they need to come with this card, and then they have to pay remaining balance. If it is children, 50 rupees. If it is adult, 100 rupees.
What would people say when you went to sell these vaccines?
I mean, there used to be a good feedback. It depends on how much knowledge we carry with them, because usually we go to villages and scare them, right? So of course we educate them, but education also has dramatization part. So I think there used to be mixed feelings. 90% of the people, they don't get it, and 10% of the people, they really think that this is very important. And sometimes I used to make 10 sales per day, 100 rupees I used to earn, or sometimes 1-2 sales, 20 rupees per day, 30 rupees per day. This was the first job.
Were you happy with that job? Did you get satisfaction from going door to door selling hepatitis B vaccines?
I mean, satisfaction, happiness are so relative. It really depends on what you want. I think some days I used to do really good. Some days it didn't matter. Some days were really worse. Yeah, I think afterwards I did do, and maybe 3 to 4 months or 6 months, something I don't remember. Then I changed. I started teaching in schools.
What were you teaching in schools?
I was teaching biology.
Biology.
And then sales boy in dress showrooms, catering.
So you've worked in every sector: the food and beverage industry, the teaching industry, the medical industry. So that's actually very diverse. Now that you see that you are working in a very high position, you are the COO of Faba, Federation of Asian Biotech Associations. So to think that someone at your position came from selling clothes in a dress showroom to here, what do you want to say to people who want to pursue a future in anything that they want?
Oh my God, I don't know. such
a loaded question.
Such a big question. I don't know. I mean, I think the turning points is meeting some good people, because most of the time you do not know what next. You think that you know, but actually most of the time you are not aware what's happening. It's about whom you meet, how you get inspired. In my case, uh, I had to go and study again my bachelor's because I told you, all these sales jobs were not yielding me anywhere. So one of my friend recommended me I should do a bachelor's degree. That's when I started looking for what exactly I can do after my plus two. I thought I'll apply for BCom degree so that I don't need to go for college. Then somehow I was so fascinated with the word biotechnology. I didn't. One of my friends said, go and do bioinformatics, and I looked. I'm from a very small place. I looked what exactly is bioinformatics. There was no course available. Then I went to government college, and then they had biotechnology, and the application fees was so little. So I took BiCom and biotechnology. Then biotechnology they selected. Even though I want to go for BCom, but I was somehow fascinated into biotechnology. I went there. My weakness was studying good. So I was the topper, and my lecturer used to push me to go to study well. And then I was fortunate to go to a coaching center from a teacher called Srinivasa Rao. That basically changed my way of thinking, because I was doing all sales jobs, morning college, afternoon sales jobs, evening coaching. And then he used to tell me, Jagadeesh, dream big. You can also do masters, PhD, and everything. And he used to bring alumni to coaching centers, and that changed my way of thinking. Otherwise, I was all about being medical representative, selling tablets.
What was that one thing that made you choose biotech?
I didn't become a doctor, and I wanted to do something else with that with that biology as a background. And biotechnology was fancy term. I mean, honestly, I didn't know the meaning of biotechnology even after PhD as well. Now, whenever I ask students now, do you know the meaning of biotechnology? People put blank faces. Nobody really understands it. So it was just fancy course. I took it. I could have taken anything: microbiology, biochemistry, zoology, botany. Just I think my friend told either take biotechnology or BCom, and I took biotechnology. But right now, I think I made a very good choice choosing biotech. I mean, maybe it could be another course as well. I see a lot of potential in biotechnology now. The reason why I joined Faba, Federation of Asian Biotech Association, is it's the next what to say next revolution is in biotech, like IT revolution.
I think the viewers are not aware that Dr. Jagdish went from being a sales boy in a dress showroom to having a PhD from the Heidelberg University. So that is very inspirational even for me, and I'm sure for all the viewers. So how did you get to do a PhD in Heidelberg University? Like, what was your transition from being in biotech in your bachelor's to Heidelberg University?
It all goes back again to inspiration. In my coaching center, so I had two ambitions. One is to earn money first, because I had a lot of responsibilities at home, and then my teacher told me I should study well. Then I want to balance both, how to earn money as well as study well. So then I got to know going abroad, especially to Germany, was easy when you study well, and also they will pay you 1 lakh stipend when you go there. So I had two motivations immediately after finishing my master. So I was good at studies all the time. I even got a prize from Abdul Kalam for getting second in University of Hyderabad entrance examination. So I think two things I balanced. Then going to Germany was not so difficult for me. I applied, I cracked all the interviews, and went there. And there I struggled a bit in Germany while I went there, because in India we are more bookish. In Germany there are a lot of practicals. So operating mass spectrometry and this kind of high-end techniques, it was difficult for me. And another one was also I wanted to do PhD for another reason. I was so interested to do PhD on cancer research, because cancer was I had a lot of family history. My grandmother, my grandfather, my aunt, my friends, so many were diagnosed with cancer, and some died. And I was kind of thinking it like, why? What is this cancer? Can I do something?
As we were talking about your PhD in cancer, so you were saying you've seen cancer in your family. A lot of people in your family suffered from cancer, and that pushed you to do cancer for a PhD. And so, what sort of job did you want after getting a PhD, or did the jobs come to you naturally?
It's both actually. Like so when I was doing PhD, so I was fascinated about research. I really wanted to pursue research, but then couple of my skill sets, they showed automatically. They came out, like building communities, building networks, and I was all the time the front face of anything. Like I was the president of Heidelberg Indian Student Association, so I used to meet a little bit of bureaucrats, ambassadors, and everybody. Then automatically some meetings used to come, and some problems used to come. I used to solve them. I was also carrying very good research. Then there was all the time negativity in the PhD circles. Like there are no all the time talking about bosses, all the time talking about toxicity, about the work environment, and I was advocating how to tackle it. But then when I questioned myself, like what next after PhD, postdoc. Then after postdoc, we need to apply in the universities, and the positions are very limited. It could be Germany, US, or India, and many people, my friends, Indians, were coming back to India, but they were not getting positions here. A lot of recommendations, and also, you need to know people. That's what they used to say. Then, so two things, like one, I was knowing my strengths. Another one is knowing the negativity of the academia. Then I wanted to play my strengths. So I got into innovation ecosystem in my PhD, and then afterwards, I got into something called EIT Health ecosystem. And
was that a government position for the German government?
Yes, for 2 years it's on probation. Afterwards, it will become permanent. So these are called as permanent positions, unlimited contracts.
I also saw a very interesting magazine cover where you're on the magazine cover. What was it called again? Stars of Biotech?
I don't know. These are all we made them.
We have to look it up.
Doesn't matter. So we had a couple of startup ideas. Couple of startups were there. I was having a startup. My wife was having a startup. We were doing. She was advocating a lot about women health. So my wife is also PhD, by the way, from my place. PhD in Germany.
What does she have a PhD on?
Pediatric metabolism. So we both were doing good stuff about healthcare. Like we had, I think, strong voice. We were opening up, we were talking, and that's where all these things, magazines or podcasts, blogs, everything comes.
How do you meet your wife?
In that coaching center I told you, where
Wow.
in my bachelor's. So it all started there.
Tell us more about it.
Why?
It's okay, sir. Because it's very difficult to even handle a relationship if someone's into research. Because research will take most of the time. They have to work night and day. Because if it's on cancer, I believe you have to invest a lot of time in getting the results that you want. So now people are scared to get into the healthcare industry or anything to do with biology because it eats away most of the time, and they cannot find good enough time for the relationship. So I think it's very important. So how did you manage that?
What about if you both don't have time?
But how did you manage to find the time to sustain a relationship?
I think
and a research job.
So our both labs were very near, and sometimes I used to sleep in her lab. She used to sleep in my lab while I was doing experiments. So she understood what I have to do. Our experiments used to be same. I was doing a lot of CRISPR knockouts. I was doing on cells. She was doing on zebrafish. We were really thinking experiments. Sometimes some experiments used to be tough for me, and she used to help me out. And for her, it used to be tough, and I used to help her out. And we had a lot of friend circle around, similar. So it doesn't matter whether I'm there or not. Somehow we were taken care. So I think building that helping networks are very important, and that helped us in research. We enjoyed our PhD times. People complain a lot, but we also had a lot of complaints. But I think that's parts and parcel of business. But we really enjoyed it.
I think knowing you for the last 4 months, you are working really hard to make sure the PhD labs or any the biotech environment doesn't have that much toxicity, because this industry is very closed off to new people. I think Faba is trying to get rid of that toxicity and that strong nature of biotech industry right now, and let the information be democratized. Let people know what they want, and Faba is helping people to know what they want, and we have Faba Fridays as well. So why don't you tell us about Faba Fridays?
Faba Fridays is a very simple concept that came. We attended Farhan, our intern, who was telling us that we attended one event called Impact Fridays at IIIT. Then we thought, actually, I forgot how we came up with Faba Fridays, but he told me that's how it is. Then we said like we will do something on Fridays, and we call Faba Fridays. But in my mind, I thought this inspiration came from Greta Thunberg, Impact Fridays for Future, Impact Fridays. So that's when we picked, and then somehow I should thank all Faba team, Divya, Sharma, Farhan, Redana sir, Ratnakar sir, everybody. When I just launched the program Faba Fridays, like every Friday we'll have a mentoring session for students. It's basically bridging the knowledge gap. So many students, even they finish PhD, postdoc, or masters or anything, they will be not even have a knowledge to make a simple CV. It's very unfortunate. I mean, our education system doesn't train them how to be, job ready or market ready. And this Faba Fridays has that potential to be that bridge. And now we finished 10 Faba Fridays, and we had students from 159 universities from I think around 6 to 10 countries, and even industries are coming to us. Big mentors are coming to us. So it's quite amazing how a simple concept of Faba Fridays can go a long way. Even companies like Dr. Reddy's, when I pitched recently to them about what Faba is doing, they were super impressed with Faba Fridays. I think if we can continue this Faba Friday, so every Friday, 6 to 8 or 9, 7 to 9 Indian time, we will be mentoring students. It could be either on the topic
and especially for free.
For free. We don't want to monetize it. Monetize in the sense we don't want to charge the participants. We may look for sponsors, but we will not do any business there, because that shouldn't be a barrier. Of course, people see that when you give for free something, there's no value, but it doesn't matter for us. We will be there, and we have that bandwidth.
Do you play any sports, Dr. Jagadish?
Not now.
What did you used to play back in your college days?
Beach volleyball in Germany. Yeah,
Beach volleyball.
Beach volleyball.
Wow.
Beach volleyball, and back in college I used to play cricket. I was the captain of cricket team. And nowadays, I think life itself is a sport.
Life itself is a sport right now.
When my wife was active, so right now she's not so active. She was a yoga teacher and she used to teach yoga. So I was one of her 3 students. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 5 to 6 in the morning. She used to be really strict.
She has to be. Right after you graduated from your bachelor's degree, and if I graduate bachelor's degree right now in biotech, if we compare the both, how hard is it for someone to get a job back in the day and now?
I think nowadays it's quite easy. So back in the day, actually I had no clue how to get a job. I didn't even know what jobs exist after BSc Biotechnology or even MSc Biotechnology. People say industry, but the thing is, it's a very big term, industry. How to go there, how to convince people, what exactly is the structure. I think it was blank for me. I mean, now you have a lot of social media, WhatsApp. In WhatsApp, I think you'll see a lot of jobs, and there are many people to help you out.
Job communities.
Job
postings.
Yeah, then if you have a good, social media profiles, you can directly follow them. Back then, it was not like that. So that's why it was after BSc, MSc was a immediate thing that you can choose. After MSc, PhD. That's the only trajectory that you know. At least we know. I mean, in our MSc, we got one campus placement. It's called Velamal Institutions. So there you go and teach. It's an international school or national school, I don't know. And then we thought like that's the only job exists after MSc. And then that's why we chose PhD. Of course, we were also interested in research. So now I think there are lots of career options because the whole industry is growing, industry is opening up, and there are lots of jobs that are there. So
there's a huge disparity between the number of people going into biotech and the number of people going into information technology and computer science. Like if you see the research that we recently had a discussion within ourselves, that there's a big disparity between people who take IT stuff or computer science and biotech. Very few people want to go with the biotech future. Why do you think that is?
I mean, the answer is straightforward, like employability, right? So biotech is not that rich as IT. So let's say maybe hardly few people in biotechnology get jobs, remaining don't. We have to talk about hard facts, right? So in IT, it's not like that. At least, one can be placed after 6 months or 1 year. Campus placements, if they're good, they get it, it's good. Even very simple, like 5,000 rupees per month or 10,000, 15,000, but the trajectory is so high. Like within few years, their CTC or the salary that they earn is huge. And first is getting job is easy, and then salaries are high. So compared to that, biotechnology, I don't think we still have that, same thing that we cannot compare it.
So the entry level job for a biotech job is very high compared to.
It's difficult to get. First thing is, and the second one is the salaries are not good. Salaries are not good. At Faba, we are trying. For example, if a few days back, I was talking to a startup, and the startup called me and said like, "Hey Jagadish, I'm looking for so and so people, MSc graduation, and they should be working under me." And I asked, "What would be the salary?" Maybe I'll pay 10,000 rupees. Then I pitched in for 25,000 rupees per month. Even 25,000 is small for me, but that guy said, "No, I cannot pay more than 15,000, and their market value is only that." And can we tell the same for MTech?
Absolutely
MTech
not.
IT guy.
Absolutely not.
He goes in, at least starts with 5 lakhs or 6 lakhs per annum. Here you are talking about 1,50,000 or 1,20,000. So it's like 4x difference is there. So these are the realities. I think we have to value, and also like the IT engineers, they contribute to live projects. So that means the companies earn, because these are all service-based projects in India a lot, because you are serving either foreign country or some foreign companies. In biotech, it's very few are like that. So maybe CRO business are there, but again, it's not comparable to IT.
I think, let's say someone just graduated right out of their biotech degree. There's a huge gap between the number of graduates that are graduating every year and the number of jobs. And all these graduates are not getting the jobs. And there's a lot of empty positions, and the graduates are clueless as to what their future can be. What do you think about that?
It's true, right? I mean, one thing is that what kind of skill set you carry even after graduation or even after PhD. So we are talking only about BSc, right? But even after PhD, what are the transferable skills that you carry? When you have good transferable skills, getting jobs is easy. Really easy. It's not so difficult. It's about knowing people, knowing the field and everything. So, but it's always, communication skills, how, whether you are good with people or not. So only subject will not lead you anywhere. And especially fields like biotechnology, these are not one day things. These are like researchers. You need to put a lot of years of effort, where sometimes the return on investment is zero or even in minus. So that's where I think getting jobs is difficult, but also the field itself is long. Incubation time, we call it.
And that's why we are up to creating Faba Entrepreneurship and Faba Academy.
Faba Academy is basically telling students or mentoring them, identifying what are the opportunities that they can find. First time is providing them knowledge, like providing them all the basket of knowledge that the whole field has. We provide directly access to the mentors, access to experts. And Faba entrepreneurship, that's like one thing. It's good you touch base with me this thing, because entrepreneurship is kind of very well represented in the universities or even in the institutes, because the teachers, they themselves do not understand entrepreneurship, and they never encourage students to start something. And fortunately, our government is very, very proactive, Indian government. So there are a couple of grants like EUR, SPERSH. So this kind of grants, if a student has any innovative idea, they will give fellowship. So one can start the startup and understand what startup journey is. Some products can come out of from their innovation, right? So I think entrepreneurship is also one career opportunity. One has to be serious there, and there are lots of grants that will help you kickstart your project.
What is Faba? A lot of people don't know what Faba is. A lot of people think Faba is just a non-profit organization, just touching bases biotech. But we're doing a lot more than that. So, how do you describe Faba?
So, I mean, Faba is a historic organization. Historic. It has a 20
prehistoric,
years,
ancient.
not like that. So it started in 2004. I mean, Reddinas are BP Acharya Garu, who was the IAS officer, and a couple of other dignitaries in the field. And I think it was Y.S. Rajshekar Reddy, who was chief minister at that time. So they launched Faba basically to run an event called BioAsia. So BioAsia is an event that happens in Hyderabad, where they bring a lot of biopharma governments together, and then they do the event. They're showcasing biotechnology that is present in Hyderabad. And Faba was known for that. Is a people puller, like especially in the biofield, to Hyderabad. And in 2020, the definitions of Faba got changed, because Now the network of Faba is so strong, it's not only in India, also in many other countries. But how about we also cater the needs of somebody who is at the ground, who are students? That's where I was also part of launching Faba Academy. So Faba network exists. With that network, now we want to help out students. That's where Academy is there. Now I think we have done more than 100 plus workshops and webinars and trained more than 12,000 individuals. It could be skilling or providing them jobs. And then that has much more runway to go. We will be empowering thousands or lakhs of students with end-to-end programs. We are designing a lot of end-to-end programs. So for students, for colleges, universities, a place to look for, especially in biology field, is Faba Academy. And last year in 2022, we launched Faba Entrepreneurship, a third wing. So Faba as a network is first wing, Faba Academy is the second wing, Faba Entrepreneurship is the third wing. So here it is all about helping startups. So if you look at biotechnology startups or bio startups in general, they are not as investable as fintech or edtech startups because
The return on investment isn't instantaneous.
yeah,
People want money ASAP.
Exactly. In biotechnology, as I said, the incubation time is long. It can take sometimes more than a decade, especially if clinical trials or regulatory affairs are involved. It will take time. So that's why these are not investment. They can't be investment ready so quickly. So that's where Faba want to change the rules of the game because we have that network. How could we enable startup investments, or how can we help them out in mentoring or providing them market access? And we launched last year with an event called Whale Tank. In Whale Tank, we invited around 8 venture capitalists and we invited around 60 biotechnology startups. And we made startups to pitch to VCs. So it was one of the very unique event that we have done.
It's Shark Tank for biotech companies.
Yeah, but not sharks. Sharks are angel investors, but we invited venture capitalists, so who are a bit above on angels because these guys bring huge chunk of money, couple of millions, and so that's where we have that network. We have startup network as well. We're building multiple programs for them, and as of now, startups comes to us, and we are helping them ad hoc, like based on what they want. But we do not have end-to-end programs designed. But we are in the process of designing end-to-end programs. But most of our time is actually going for students now. So Faba Academy is the center of Faba as of now. We do also big events for governments or some independent parties who want to enable the ecosystem. But as a chief operating officer of Faba, my focus is all about helping students as of now, getting jobs or upskilling them.
And I want to make the viewers and the listeners aware that even the Faba actually implemented the antimicrobial resistance action plan in the state of Andhra Pradesh, which many people don't know. Faba played a key role in making sure that this action plan actually gets into legislation in Andhra Pradesh. But Telangana doesn't currently have that. So how would you go about implementing an action plan for antimicrobial resistance in Telangana?
So it has to come from bureaucrats first. So we cannot go and advocate them like, look, this is important. So for us in Andhra Pradesh, the government came to us and asked Professor Redana, so Redana, can you please help us? So for people who doesn't know what antimicrobial resistance is, I mean, when we get fever or throat ache or anything in India, or elsewhere in other countries as well, we take antibiotics. So once we take a lot of antibiotics, our antibiotics are actually going and killing bacteria. That's what we think. But bacteria, they are very intelligent creatures. They can get mutated themselves and they get resistant to antibiotics. So that the antibiotics, once you take it, they stop working. And unfortunately, our antibiotics, I think, were discovered way back, maybe in 1940s or
Actually,
30s.
even older than that.
And we still have the same. We don't have new line of antibiotics. So that means bacteria are becoming more intelligent, and our antibiotics are becoming more, not functionable. So that's where the next threat, like COVID, we will be looking is antibiotic resistance, because your antibiotic stops working, and imagine tuberculosis, which is already having multiple resistant tuberculosis, and there are many thousands actually are dying or millions dying with tuberculosis, and that happens for a simple fever or viral disease, bacterial disease, and this is what we will encounter. So WHO came with a action plan for whole world, telling that, look, antibiotic resistance will be the next big threat and you need to tackle it separately, and these are the guidelines. And they told every country to have an action plan. It's called national plan. Like, and then they gave, and then the country said like every state should have its own plan, state plan. So like that, I think Kerala, I don't remember another state in India, and now Andhra Pradesh they have their own action plan, state action plan, national action plan, and but having plan is not enough. One has to have an implementation plan. That's where Faba, along with other organizations like World Animal Protection Rights and UN, CDC, WHO, kind of
Plant
drafted.
biotechnology as well.
Yeah, a couple of other organizations. We gave an implementation action plan, and that report is available online. So it came from the government to us, and then our job was to pull people and give more knowledge partner. But we cannot comment when Telangana wants to have it or who comes to us.
I think this antimicrobial resistance has a problem both in the medical sector and the pharma sector, because now the pharmaceutical industry has to develop new drugs that can be used to treat very resistant bacteria, and rampant usage of antimicrobials in the clinical setting. Nowadays, doctors are not following evidence-based medicine. I think that's the biggest problem in the medical sector in India. A lot of doctors do not read papers, make themselves aware of new treatment methodologies, and now prescribing rampant antibiotics to the people, and the pharmaceutical industry is struggling to develop new pharmaceutical products to treat that. So I think it's very important to implement an action plan in every state and actually go with it.
I mean, I love the enthusiasm that you, Vishal, Snehal brings in. So we are just enabling whatever your enthusiasm is. For example, you want to do podcasts. I think you deserve it because you have interest. You're not like a typical medical doctor who wants to do medicine and then be in the clinic. You want to do something more in healthcare. Similar Kushal as well. He has medical businesses, but he wants to do much more. So this podcast gives you exposure to the real world. Whenever something comes up, you can pick it up as an opportunity.
So what Faba actually wants to do from when I joined is to enable collaboration between the medical industry, the pharmaceutical industry, the business industry, and the biotech industry. Because all of these industries are working in their own path. And at the end, they are just releasing the product and forcing the medical industry to adopt it. And there's a lack of feedback mechanism between the end user and the people who are creating things. So what do you want to do about it, or what do you think about this problem right now?
I think collaboration is a must. So if we want to be in the game for long term, collaboration is really a must. So I was recently talking to one of the PhD students. I'll tell you why I'm telling this story. He was working on, he's a 5th year PhD student. His fellowship will stop in few months. And I asked him, what is the use of your PhD study? Then he said, no, I'm identifying this gene mechanism in this bacteria and I want to identify it. It's like, okay, so what is the use of it? He said, like, I'll get a publication and then I'll wind up my PhD in next 2 to 3 years and then I'll go for a postdoc. He didn't even understand what my question is. Like, okay, stop your explanation. I'm asking like your grandmom. So your grandmom is asking you a question. What is your use of your PhD? So you should tell in a way that what kind of application exists in the market. So he was working on some kind of bacteria that is used in biofuels, like cyanobacteria or something. So he didn't even understand that application. He can read papers, he can write about it. So this kind of innovators doesn't understand where actually these products are being used. The industries understand it, but the medical doctors. So now I'm talking about the whole supply chain, or what to say, the innovation
Ecosystem.
Ecosystem. So there is a lot of knowledge gap. If a PhD student doesn't understand where his innovation goes, or if the industry doesn't understand where the patient needs, or if the doctor doesn't understand what happens when they prescribe a pill or something. So basically this knowledge gap is like it's an ignorance that we are playing with. So I think this has to be addressed. That's where the workshop that we want to conduct on design thinking, where we first think about end user. So when in the end user, what exactly they need. So if you know what end user needs, then basically you can re-innovate. Otherwise, you can come retrospectively and then design things. So a collaboration is a must from an innovator and the end user, like a doctor and patient. Of course, the business guy, pharma industry has to step in, because if there is no business for anything, then the market won't survive.
When I joined as the associate for the healthcare side of Faba, I think we had a discussion about this. We would want to bridge the gap between the biomedical engineers and doctors and let doctors decide what the end product should be. Because doctors are the ones who are dealing with patients all day, and they know the needs of the patients and how it can enable the doctors to know what kind of service can be dispensed to the patient. So if we can bring in a room biomedical engineers and doctors and let them just think, let it be a session which is full of ideas and feedback from the doctors, feedback from the biomedical engineers. Let them brainstorm in a room for a while, and they will get new ideas. I'm sure this happens in the industry, but then not all doctors are actively involved. These doctors are the actual employees of that company itself. The end doctors, the end user doctors, let's say in a very small setup in a rural health center, and if they want to dispense a technological device, it doesn't match the needs of the rural population, let's say. And that's how the workshop you mentioned, design thinking. So tell us more about design thinking.
So design thinking is basically a concept. It came from Stanford. Actually, it came from a place in Germany called Aachen or something. I don't remember exactly, but popularized by Stanford. And there the idea is that it has 5 steps: empathize, ideate, prototype, test. The one step I miss. So basically, it's a mix of all these steps by having end user in the perspective. You directly talk to the end user. You directly talk to the end user, and then let's say you are designing a shoe for the end user, thinking that he loves black shoe, and then you do not know his size. You do not know whether he likes black or not, or whether you do not know whether he will wear shoes or not. So all these things, why don't you talk to the end user? And the end user will tell what he or she wants. Based on that, you come back and you think like what he wants, and then you design it, you ideate it, you again go back and test it. This is what is basically end user. But in terms of hospital setting, in terms of patient care, we rarely do that. So
Exactly.
we rarely do that. We are mostly, guided by clinical trials or guided by research, but it's never like what patient wants. So these things are kind of, I have seen beautiful examples. One of the company that I know works, for example, ultrasound scanning in Africa. So it's really difficult for them. They don't have money to buy ultrasound machines. And one of my friend from Netherlands, she's a Dutch, and she went to Africa and saw that they cannot afford ultrasound machines. And then she saw like how much they can afford, what do they have. Then she saw that they all have mobile phones and there's a good network coverage. She went back to TU Delft in Netherlands, and she designed an MRI ultrasound machine that can be operated through phone. It's a very simple ultrasound machine that now people can scan on the phone by using this one.
Anywhere. It's
Anywhere.
remote.
It's a
even
very
remote
simple.
areas.
She look at her pictures, what she posts and everything. It's just like a simple thing on the phone. Then you scan and you can see it in the phone. So this is an example of end user innovation. Like what end user wants. So like one thing I told is affordability here. Like the price models in Africa, for example, they can't afford it, and getting it from abroad was super difficult. And what kind of machines that they can operate. So it's so easy with the mobile phones. They can run training from Netherlands. So everybody has a phone, everybody has internet, they can be trained. So no video setup, no fans and everything. So these are very simple examples of design thinking.
I think another example which was very intriguing was how MRI machines for kids are very scary. So when a kid gets into an MRI machine, it's a big tube and the kid is scared, and you would get bad MRI images after the scan. So I think you talked about an MRI machine where it's designed for kids. What was it again?
So it's a story which we talk about GE Healthcare. GE Healthcare is a big giant in MRI machines, and so a pediatrician, I do not know where it's in US or somewhere else. A pediatrician bought an MRI machine for kids, but it was kept idle. He never used MRI machines. Then the GE Healthcare or Philips, right? All these stories. So when the service engineer or the expert from the company went to the doctor and said like, you bought this machine for so high price, why are you not using it? Then he said like, all the kids who are coming to me are scared to go into the MRI machine. Then this guy went back to the company and told this is the problem, and then they realized that all the pediatricians who ever bought MRI machines, they're not using it very well. Then they wanted to solve this, because many kids need an MRI to diagnose things, right? It could be brain, it could be knees or anything. And then they went to the children and asked, why are you not interested to go to MRI machine? Then they said like, it's so dark, it's so sound, so many sounds comes, and we are scared to go into the MRI machine. Then they basically watch the kids. So they basically shadowed the kids what they love, and then they saw that kids love, this pirate kind of thing. Everybody wants to be a police officer or hide and seek and everything. So they took this concept and then saw that how MRI machine can replicate what they want. So they basically made these MRI machines as a pirate den. They colored it, they pictured it, and even when people
Made
are
more playful for the kids.
exactly, even when kids are going into the MRI machine, they dress them as pirates and say like, now you go into a den and you hide there for 1 hour, and everything will be painted in this pirate kind of thing, and they will be actually thinking that they are either pirates or otherwise the police, something which they are part of storytelling now. These MRI machines are designed like that, it's colorful and everything. It's a very simple concept, but huge cost MRI machines. People were not using it. Now since they are designed for kids, that can be used.
I think that's a very good example of design thinking, and I think it should be very widespread. And in the biotech industry, especially when they design a product, they should collaborate with doctors like this, get feedback from the end user.
One thing that I can clearly say, one example where design thinking or actually the end user thing is failing is this Novo Nordisk insulin injections.
Absolutely.
People carry these pens as if they are carrying some treasure, the people put it, but nobody is aware of the temperature, that because insulin is unstable when at room temperature. Especially all the proteins are
Exactly,
unstable.
yeah.
They
They
need
get
to be
denatured and it's useless if you inject it.
exactly. And my mom, for example, she lives in a village, and most of the time we have power failures and our fridge never functions. So she is just using it at room temperature. I have no clue whether it works or not. One time I thought like, I'll break it and open and run a gel and see if the insulin is stable or not.
So you did that actually?
I want to do it. I want to do it. But when this is where the design thinking or understanding the end user, because Novo Nordisk is a Danish company and it is cold there, and the insulin pens are created there, and now it is exported to all the countries, thinking that it works. Hopefully, it works even at room temperature.
We don't know.
We don't know, but actually, it's not advised above 8 degrees because proteins are unstable.
I think that's a failure of design thinking, because I think they wanted to market it as a very remote device where you can carry it everywhere and design it like a pen. So people attribute it to being very handy and being able to take it anywhere. But they probably didn't realize that as pens, they would put it in like pockets or keep it in their bags and let the insulin denature, and they're not aware of that.
Exactly.
And
I don't think they are. I don't say they are not
I'm
aware.
sure, I think
it's just market demands that, and or there is no technology. One of my friend has a company called Biotech. He's actually solving that. Vaibhav, he came from Spain. His company is in Coimbatore now. He's designing room temperature insulin. So all the peptides that can be put at room temperature and then could be injected.
I think that would be a very good help, because we can dispatch it to rural areas where we don't have cold storage.
Yeah, exactly.
If we start about storage, it will go on for hours and hours.
Yeah.
You have so many people that you know of.
I'm in the industry.
You have so many friends. I think that's very important, I believe. You have friends in every industry and at every stage of that process who just incepted an idea, who are at their end stage and releasing it to mass market.
That's a beauty of helping others. When you try to help others, actually you will get into a lot of stories, because you will listen their story and then you help. I think my unique skill set is only helping people, connecting them, and when you connect, you learn a lot of stories.
It's great that you bring your contacts to Faba, and Faba already has an immense number of contacts in every industry at every level. And I think the viewers can't realize that because they are not aware of what Faba consists of. We have people ranging from managing directors of a pharma company to startups to people who are going to do a startup. So tell us about Faba's family.
Faba works with various stakeholders. So stakeholders, when I say if somebody wants to enter into Faba, they can take membership. So the membership starts with 1,000 rupees for students and can go until 5 lakhs for corporate, when industry, with a lifetime membership. That's one way. And the second way is they can become MOU partners. Like let's say we both want to do a workshop or something. We draft an MOU. And sometimes we think of finances, sometimes we think of end user. If a student is really needy, we don't care much about finances. Or some people come with proposals. It's like There's one US organization now, they say like they want to train many of the biological safety level 3 labs of India on how to tackle biological safety level 3 threats. Let's say how a COVID vaccine, if it leaks from the lab, how do you basically tackle it? And they run through Faba by giving money to Faba. So we get salaries paid for that. So like that, there are multiple ways how you can work with Faba. And so that with that, we basically equip with various stakeholders. We have government organizations, we have incubation centers, we have students, we have private colleges, we have universities, we have pharma companies. Like many of the, you name, big pharma companies in Hyderabad at least are our members. So they pay corporate membership and stay with us, and we provide them different type of benefits. And right now, as I said, we are heavily focused on students, so we want to go student centric. And let's say we want to be a proud, family of students and enabling them.
The executive committee of Faba has big names.
Yeah.
We have Dr. Reddanna. And tell us more about the other executive committee members.
So Faba, as a structure-wise, we always should have president from abroad, not from India. So Faba is headquartered in Hyderabad, but all the time presidents are from abroad. Right now we have President Dr. Azul Ghani from Bangladesh. He's the president of Faba. And next to him, executive president, Professor Reddanna, who is the heart and brain of Faba. It's his own network, his own passion for enabling
His brainchild.
His brainchild, basically. Is his network. That's what is the engine for Faba. And as Faba is a non-profit organization, it should have its own board, and that board is executive committee. And our executive committee board members are very sound. Like we pick who are really somebody strong in the ecosystem. So we have people from industries, we have people from academia, we have people from startups, people from government. So I mean, one can look it up names on the internet in our website, but they're all of sound knowledge, so they can bring a lot of value. It could be students, it could be the ecosystem, or startups.
This is our first podcast, by the way, but we're planning on bringing a lot of people. First, we want to tackle Faba's own family, bring all the executive company members, and we'll interview them. But this is a very good starting point.
I think it's a much needed podcast that you and Kushal are planning. Why? Because most of the scientists who run these shows are very
behind the curtain.
Yeah, they are very shy. Let's say they say like, let my results speak. And that's what in Faba Academy we train a lot of scientists to come and speak.
Exactly.
Come and open up, showcase your strengths. It's very difficult to bring them onto limelight. I think what you are trying to do is a need of the hour, because most of the heroes, these are the heroes.
The unspoken heroes.
Unspoken heroes. For example, I can name. I think Shahma and all our team. We went to Indian Institute of Rice Research. There, one of our EC member, Professor Raman Sundaram, Meenakshi Sundaram. Professor Meenakshi Sundaram is so ground to earth, and he did a lot of work in rice research. And when will we hear their stories?
We never do, because we know their fruits that we are eating, but we don't know the farmer.
Exactly. I think that these are the real heroes, and you need to bring them to a podcast and make them visible, make them heard by all the public, especially the student community. Yeah, so basically, at least in Hyderabad or Faba or Bangalore, the biosystem is quite mature. The life science ecosystem, pharma, quite mature, and students should be aware of it, or even the startup should be aware of it, so that they can get jobs or otherwise some kind of business opportunities here.
I think there's a Faba event coming up in September.
Yeah, 16th of September. It's called Career Connect. So it's again, one of the story that I was telling to Farhan and Sharma, our interns. It all started in 2014. This simple idea where my wife was not interested in doing PhD. So she was if she stays in India, she will get married. So that's why she wants to be in Germany. But being in Germany, you cannot be idle, right? So she did an internship. Afterwards, she wanted to get into industry, but she couldn't get into industry because she couldn't speak German and jobs were so limited. And then this event in Munich called Messe Munich, and there is a very big lab expo, like instruments that are used in laboratories are being exhibited there. It's a very big event.
It's like the Comic-Con of Biotech.
Yeah, exactly. So there was one company called Job Vector. That company hosted a career event there, and there people get trained on CVs, exposed to the live interviews, take a professional picture. So I saw that in 2014. At that time, I didn't know how to make a good CV, even though I was doing PhD, but I did not know how to make a good CV. And I applied, I got somehow, I was lucky enough.
That CV must have been filled, sir. You've done a PhD.
No, before, like I was
Oh,
started
before
my
the PhD. Okay.
Before the PhD, I got into Germany PhD through a CV, right? But it was, I would say, stupid CV at the time. I didn't know how to make it. But going there, I realized the importance of a good CV, how to do interviews and everything. I cracked interviews, but I think somehow I made it, but I didn't know the structures. I was just natural. And that's when I realized now exactly the same company, Messe Munich, Germany, has a branch office here in India. Messe Munich, Hyderabad, Messe Munich, Bangalore, Mumbai, I think. So these guys are doing a lab expo, India Lab Expo or something on September 16th, September 14th to 16th. And that organizer came to us to make Faba as a knowledge partner. So as a knowledge partner, we are doing some keynotes there. But as I said, Faba right now is student centered, and we took an opportunity to ask the organizers if we can do career event, exactly what I saw in Germany. Now we are doing that, so I'm so proud in organizing it. It's called Career Connect, where we'll be bringing lots of pharma companies. We'll be doing live CV sessions. We'll be doing HR live interviews, and also networking sessions and camera sessions, like taking professional pictures. So all these things, I want at least 2,000 to 3,000 students there.
I think a lot of students will come because we contacted every university in India.
Yeah, we haven't yet, so we have to be a bit serious and then go onto the ground and bring a lot of students, a lot of companies there. So I'm really excited to organize it, and I'm also scared that how this will go. But I think these are the just start for Faba. We will be doing regularly student events, job placements, upskilling them. We also have something called finishing school that we are building.
Yeah.
We have 3 finishing schools that we are planning. One is in collaboration with Biotechnology Foundation, where we will be training students who finish some courses in plant biotechnology or agriculture sciences. We will be training them on recent trends or industry requirement and placing them immediately in the company. Another one is with Dr. Reddy's Institute of Life Sciences, in collaboration with a couple of other companies like Origin, Syngene or other companies, where we'll train at next 20 students and for 3 months and then place them in the company. Another one is with ICICI Knowledge Park called IKP. So we are fortunate enough that Vice President of IKP, Dr. Vishwanathan Dupatla, is so keen to help us out in launching one more finishing school with them. So he thinks that this is also need of the hour. And good thing is it's in Genome Valley. Genome Valley has a lot of companies. So we want to help students to train in the lab in IKP and also go to industries and do internship there while getting trained. And immediately so that they have job required skills and they can get placed.
That's excellent. And emphasis on Career Connect, it will be free of cost to enter.
Yes.
And I think that should be emphasized here.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people charge because there's a lot of third parties and a lot of brokers which make a deal with the student and the organization and they bring, but emphasis.
Students,
it's totally free.
For us, they are never a revenue model. Even though they take membership, it's only 1,000 rupees. It's never a sustainable model. For us, we want to empower them and we get money from somewhere else. It could be industries or it could be some other third party.
So September
16th,
we have to be there.
Yeah.
And this will be in the podcast as well. There will be a link that would let them register and show up.
Sure, please do. It has to reach as many life science students as possible because this will be one of their events that will change their way of thinking about life sciences. They'll get job ready, they will get networked with, there will be 400 analytical instrument exhibition there. There will be demos, there will be job advertisements. We will be reaching out to all our network partners to send their job ads and also asking their HR manager to be there so they can directly talk to them.
Exactly. I think that will be a very good help for just biotech graduates who just got out of their college right now.
Yeah.
And we will be expecting a lot of people to come.
Hopefully.
I'm sure people will come.
Yes. So we have discussed so many things, starting from my personal history, hitting roadblocks, getting back to career, and then giving back to community. We talked about startups, we talked about students, we talked about Faba ecosystem and the events that we are doing. So overall, to wind up, what I see is that the future in life sciences is going to be amazing. I cannot say it can be compared with IT,
but it will get. I'm sure it will get.
It will get, and then it's going to stay for at least 2 to 3 decades because the bioeconomy. We talk about biofuels. We talk about biologics, biosimilars, biotechnology as a whole. Could be industrial biotechnology, it could be agriculture, or it could be marine biotechnology. Anything I think we didn't even touch the tip of the iceberg about the applications of biotechnology. So if you start thinking about it, and also the government interest is a lot in this thing. People who are studying biotechnology, if they stick to it, if they understand the importance of biotechnology or life sciences in general, it could be medical devices as well. There's a huge future, and somebody who wants to innovate, look at the market value that they have, look at India's size, or the whole world size. If they can crack something Indian market, I think they have a huge role to play. And but one has to be really positive, because it's not like IT that can open up quick. It takes time, but once it takes time, you can be proud of your career.
And I just want to tell the viewers and the listeners that Dr. Jagadeesh is only 36 years young.
Oh my God.
He's 36 years young, has a PhD, started up, I think, 3 to 4 companies in Germany.
Failed.
Was it fail? Like, did it fail?
Fail in the sense you need to. I mean, one has to define what is a failure. For me, the failure was COVID.
I think COVID did a lot of things to everyone.
Yeah. So, by being that risk aversive, I didn't know how to be that risk aversive, and also not lacking a proper idea of setting up what exactly I want. I started a company called Dare to Start, because while I was working with European Union, at the time many people used to come to me and say like, "Hey Jagadeesh, you are a startup manager. I have a startup idea, but I don't know how to start, and I'm afraid to start." So I picked up that people are scared to start. That's why I even named it as Dare to Start. It was super successful. We did 4 hackathons, empowered around 1,000 individuals, Indo-European, Indo-American. Lots of governments used to work with us, like Startup India, Invest India, European Union, several of American agencies. One of the incubators started a special program for Indians, and Triple IT incubator, Triple IT Kerala Kottayam used to come to us, say like, we want this, we want this. Like that, there were many incidences, and we were seen as rock stars at the time. Like I got one proposal to be under 40 under 40 in EU. So like these things was supposed to happen. Then my co-founder and myself, we were thinking like, we are not hackathon organizers. We need to be something else. We were brainstorming. We were connecting with a lot of people, but we didn't have a proper idea in mind what exactly we want. We were just entrepreneur ecosystem enablers, but we didn't have a proper physical space.
But COVID just shut down everything.
And COVID came, my father expired, I had severe COVID, and then whole business got shut down. Like we were not generating any revenues, and my team was there with me supporting. But when I lacked energy, they just left me. And when they left me, when I saw all the negativity in me and in the company, then that's when I quit the company. So the company still exists. My co-founder is there to run it, but I came out. So many lessons I learned. One has to be really positive when you run a company, even though there are setbacks. Next day you need to get up and move on, and one has to be prepared for that. And working with the team, because team can make or break, and I am kind of enabling the team is very important. And having a solid plan. If you don't have a solid plan, being consistent even with the wrong plan is also good. At one point you will realize you can pivot. But for me, that break, not being consistent, was a major failure. So that I think I learned a lot of lessons. Even I tried to build another company, the same energy I didn't have. And that's what I like in Faba, is that I like the mentorship that I get from Red NSR, from the executive committee board members. So even though I work like a startup, but because of the network that Faba brings in, Red NSR's mentorship, that's the main thing for me to stay in Faba, is that Red NSR's mentorship and the network that he brings in. There's so much to learn. And for me, it's just coming and working, just staying in the office. Everybody comes to me, and then we can do much stuff. I think I will do much better at Faba than within my startup.
I think that's Dr. Jagadeesh is the most positive person in Faba right now.
Oh my God.
And I think everyone should have a Dr. Jagadeesh in their lives.
Oh my God.
He just exudes positivity every time wherever we go.
It's not like that.
Okay. I think it was a very productive talk, Dr. Jagadeesh. Thank you so much for coming. We are still in our workplace.
Thank you.
Our office is just 10 steps right there.
Thank you so much for initiating this very important podcast, because Faba as an organization doesn't care much about branding. and marketing. So even when I joined, we didn't have a LinkedIn page or any social media page. So right now we push a lot of effort in building a first LinkedIn page, because a lot of our executive committee board members are on LinkedIn. And we started with 0 followers. Now we have around 3,250 followers. So it's slowly increasing. We are not viral any day, but I think we will go viral soon, because the quality content we are producing, and then the mentorship that we want to provide for students. So we are, and this podcast will also add a lot of value for the branding of Faba, because it will bring a lot of behind faces to the front. So it could be a knowledge bank, especially somebody who's building a career or building a startup, because now they have some role models to look forward for.
And the first role model is Dr. Jagadish.
I'm very small in terms of Faba's network, but thank you. So Faba Fridays, we are bringing experts who are talking mostly about branding, one personal branding. It could be building a good LinkedIn profile, or art of networking, or how to make a good CV, how to make a good cover letter or anything. So we don't teach soft skill, hard skills like how to do pipetting, how to do chromatography, or how to do a biochemical assay in Faba Fridays. Those are separate workshops. Here it's all about other side of the hard skill.
I think Faba Friday actually helped someone get a job, right?
Last Faba Friday, 4 companies, they came and pitched their jobs. They said, like, we are looking for these positions. If there is anybody, please apply.
And we did match some of them to the companies, right?
Exactly. I think we got around 20 applications now. We launched something called Faba Recruit on Zoho platform. So people can apply. People can look into jobs, what Faba has, Faba Network has, and they can apply. It's just a start. I think at one point, Faba will be the recruiting partner for many companies.
That's excellent. I think Faba is doing a great job. And I think this podcast will bring in new people and will push those people to these things. Faba Friday, Faba Recruit, and on September 16th,
Career Connect.
Career Connect. I think we will be expecting a lot of people to join. I think that'll be a very good event. I'm looking forward to it as well.
Thank you, Jatin. I think you should bring medical doctors.
Yeah, I'm sure I will bring
your
doctors
expertise.
Yes.
And then let them see other side of where actually the medicine comes. So one of the experience that I want to share. So recently, for my wife, we got a rituximab injection. And then when the doctor said, like, we need to inject rituximab, then I asked within Faba network, and I got freely from Hetero Pharma. That's the power of Faba, thanks to Balreddy garu. And then I told, like, to the doctor, look, this is a rituximab that you asked, and I got it from Hetero Pharma. Then the doctor was shocked. This is not the rituximab that I told. We have a couple of manufacturers who are selling it, and I never heard of Hetero Pharma. And I was surprised. Hetero Pharma
is a very big company.
It's a very big company, and where did this Fabiflu, this Favipiravir, these things comes in during COVID crisis? And I realized the stupidity of doctors, because they don't have market. They are good with patients. They know what works. But the thing is, the manufacturing, the biotech, I think they are shut with this knowledge, because they never get exposed to. Maximum they get exposed to is our medical representatives who go and knock their door all the time.
Knock their door and sell that one specific drug they've been selling for the last 50 years. The companies are just buying doctors off right now.
Exactly. And a similar example, like IVIG injections that they injected. I got it. They gave me one contact number. I got medicines from them. Then I saw that it was Biotech, who is a manufacturer. So marketing was done by somebody else. And Biotech is our Faba member, not a member. I think it's a network partner. So then I have a lot of friends at Biotech, and they helped me to source in a very cheap way from Biotech. Then when I showed to the doctor, I said, like, no, this is not what I recommended. I recommended this one. It's like, when you look,
it's the same.
It's the same. It's just
he's not exposed
to that
company.
The drugs that is wrong, and we are not injecting the drugs. It's just the body that is what we're injecting. So I think that knowledge is very, very important. I mean, there could be business angle, but that from where we get it. But as a person who is in the industry, I think this knowledge is kind of important.
I think we'll wrap it up. This is our first episode, by the way. I hope it gets 10 views at least.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. We just have to keep churning out content.
Doesn't matter. Yeah. Doesn't matter. When time comes, everything goes viral. As of now, we are not behind it.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Jagadish, for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Jitin, for.
I'm not a doctor yet.
I'm not a doctor yet. Thank you. What to say? Future Dr. Jitin.
To be doctor.
To be Dr.
Hopefully.
Jitin. So I think the knowledge what you are trying to bring from the medical world and trying to bridge the other side is very, very important. I mean, we should not underestimate any side. Like, doctors' knowledge is, these are the real living doctors, the living gods who save the lives of people. And very, very important player in the whole, let's say, in our life, in our construction. and now you want to equip them with the new knowledge of what's happening at the research. I think what you are trying is commendable, and Faba will help you out there.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.